business actually dates earlier than 1968. We don't know exactly how far back it goes. It was under another more generic name like LA Typesetting or something like that. But in 68, it was named Aardvark Letterpress. I always heard it was because Aardvark starts with 2 A's. So back then, when people still use phone books, you'd be really high up in the phone book, and it'd like be easier, easy to find, not get buried with all the other stuff. Now it's a cool name. People aren't using phone books anymore, but that's the origin. My grandpa Luis's story. He was born in 1932 in a small village in Mexico. He moved to the U.S. in the 60s, and he fell in love with my grandma. He was a busboy and she was a waitress. She didn't speak any Spanish, he didn't speak any English. They were working at the same restaurant, and after she split from her first husband, they got together and he took these 4 kids who were, not his biological children, but he took them in as his own and, cared for everyone in the family throughout his entire life. I think it was in 68, around then, when he got a job here at Aardvark from this guy named Kenny, who sort of took him under his wing and bought it shortly after in the early 70s. And he actually he would refer to the business as Mother Aardvark, because he was like, it takes care of us all. All these years, weathered all kinds of different economic factors and kind of against all odds, considering it's such a niche business with a pretty niche market, and went from being something that was like kind of seen as lowbrow in the past to now being like seen as really high end, and it's taken care of us throughout all these years. No one's ever pressured me to be like, you need to take over, like this is something you have to do. It's always been like, if you want to do this, like it's there. And it feels like I've been here forever, but it also feels like, I just started the other day. Like there's so much to learn. I mean, I asked Bill about one of our machines, the Intertype. I was like, Bill, when are you going to teach me to run the Intertype? And he was like, it takes like 8 years to, learn all the different stuff. And I was like, well, we better get started now because you're 71 years old. I got this in, shortly after my grandfather passed, before I even started working here. But I was like, gotta represent, and now probably be here as long as I can, as long as the business will go on. I mean, I think the biggest thing is just quality. Digital printers can't run through like nice, thick, handmade paper. We can print on all kinds of different paper, handmade paper, imported paper, really, really thick paper. And the process of letterpress, you're actually physically pressing elevated, like a negative image of whatever it is, whether it's text or an image or something, into paper. So when you press, you actually get texture, a deboss into the paper, and you could run your fingers across and feel it. And it's really, really nice. We work with Pantone books, so people usually come in, and whether they pick something from the book or usually they'll have like a design. It's fun because I know there's machines that exist where you can actually like get precise amounts to make the colors, but the way we do things is it'll be like 98.4% trans white, just like, all right, that's about, slap it on paper, and then all right, 0.2% Rubine red. It's like, that looks like about it. So basically just doing everything by hand. Again, it's a very tactile experience, and mixing it by hand and, doing like a little draw of the ink until you kind of achieve what you're looking for. Obviously, if you're working with like, really, really high-end clients, people have expectations of things to be a certain way, but I've heard the phrase a lot, like process over perfection. Like the point isn't always to get things like completely perfect. It's like the point is, it's to do it the more special, artisan, handmade kind of way. Every once in a while something will be a little bit off, or something will be a little funky, and that's kind of fun because it reminds you like, oh yeah, this like 5-color run that has die cutting, like someone had to sit there for 3 days and like run all this stuff. It wasn't just like push a button on a computer and it runs through. It just feels more special. I would say on a personal level, I am very skeptical and do not like a lot of modern technology, especially like I'm 100% like I hate AI. I despise everything about it, and I feel like this is letterpress is there's no way you can get like AI or any of that stuff involved. I mean, maybe when it comes to like design, but at the end of the day, a human has to run the machine. It's there's the human touch, and it's the same thing as like driving a stick shift car. It's like you're doing something, and like something that you can be proud of and see the end result, and it's a lot more special. And I think as things become more digitized and less tactile, there's kind of, you know, maybe not on a large scale, but there's definitely a lot of pushback from some people who are more excited about doing things the old-fashioned way, and, you know, a way that doesn't involve computers and, you know, modern technology and stuff like that. The linotype is, like, I would argue one of the most like important inventions in modern history, because before that machine existed, to print stuff, people would have to take individual pieces of hand type, individual letters, and actually lay them out, you know, to compose everything and print it. And you can imagine how long that takes when you have to put each letter and each space individually. That takes forever. So the linotype, one person could do the amount of work that previously took like 6 people. So, you know, newspapers everywhere, people were buying these machines, and, you know, they had operators who would be able to bang stuff out a lot quicker. So it sped up the process and allowed for like way more stuff to be published and printed. It was actually a guy's garage, but I think I've been to one other place out of the maybe 15 or 20 places I've been to that had a working linotype machine in their shop, because it's such a complicated. The keyboard is completely different. It's not like a computer or something. It's based on like the characters that are most used. So my uncle Brooks and Bill, they had to memorize an entire different set of keys, you know, to operate it. So we're fortunate to have our machine, because I think it was something so special to my grandfather that, like, you know, that wasn't something he was gonna get rid of, even as maybe the usage decreased over the years. It was less than a week before he passed, really like one of the last interactions I had with him, but we all grew up in the same building, all lived in the same building. And I was next door in he and my grandma's unit, sitting on the couch with my grandma watching TV, and he was sitting in a wheelchair. He wasn't doing very well, kind of in and out of consciousness. And at the corner of my eye, I kind of saw him moving a little bit, and I was watching him, and I could tell immediately in his like kind of semi-conscious, you know, whatever mental state he was in, sort of asleep, he was reaching out and he was typing on a keyboard and pulling different levers. And I was like, in his mind, he's like operating the linotype machine. That was like the last thing I saw him do, because that machine truly was like his baby. I mean, as far as we know, and Bill's told us this, like, he is one of the last living trained machinists. I mean, he can tell you anything about any of the cams and gears and the cogs and everything, which is amazing, and we're lucky to have him, but is also a pretty scary thought, because it's like, you know, once Bill and the other few people who still know this kind of stuff are gone, it's like, you know,